TV soap news and spoilers say that on the sultry evening of August 29, 2025, the sleepy town of Fairmont Crest was anything but tranquil. The air buzzed with whispered secrets, shattered dreams, and the electric pulse of ambition. At the heart of this storm was Beyond the Gates, a place where the elite gathered to flaunt their power, nurse their grudges, and chase their desires. What unfolded that night was a tapestry of human emotion woven with threads of triumph, betrayal, obsession, and heartbreak. This is the story of Leslie, Ted, Eva, Tomas, Allison, Chelsea, Nicole, and Martin, whose lives collided in a whirlwind of drama that would leave the town forever changed. Leslie, the queen of Fairmont Crest. Leslie stood atop the grand staircase of the Fairmont Crest Country Club, her silhouette framed by the golden glow of chandeliers. Her crimson gown clung to her like a second skin, a bold statement of her newfound wealth. She was no longer the overlooked daughter of a struggling family. She was a titan, a force of nature who had clawed her way to the top. Her laughter echoed through the opulent ballroom, sharp and deliberate, as she raised a glass of champagne to her lips. Every eye in the room was on her, and she reveled in it. For years, Leslie had been the subject of pitying glances and whispered gossip. The townsfolk of Fairmont Crest had watched her family's slow decline, their once respectable name tarnished by financial ruin. But now, with a fortune amassed through cunning investments and a stroke of luck in the tech industry, Leslie was the one writing the narrative. She moved through the crowd with the grace of a predator, her smile a weapon she wielded with precision. She made a point to linger near those who had once scorned Harold's schoolmates, former friends, and especially Margaret, the self-appointed matriarch of Fairmont Crest's social scene. Margaret's face tightened as Leslie approached, her diamond earrings glinting with every forced smile. "Leslie, darling," Margaret said, her voice dripping with false warmth, "you've certainly made a splash tonight." "Oh, Margaret," Leslie replied, her tone saccharine, "I've only just begun." She tilted her head, letting the light catch the emerald necklace at her throat, a piece worth more than Margaret's entire estate. The crowd murmured, and Leslie's heart swelled with satisfaction. This was her moment, her revenge, her coronation. But the night held a surprise even Leslie couldn't anticipate. Ted, the enigmatic entrepreneur who had recently returned to Fairmont Crest, approached her with a glint in his eye. Ted was a man of mystery, his wealth rivaling Leslie's, but his motives unclear. He leaned in close, his voice low and conspiratorial. "Leslie, I have a proposition for you," he said, his words laced with promise. "One that could make you untouchable." Leslie's pulse quickened. Ted was no ordinary man. His offers were never simple. Was it a business deal to solidify her empire? A partnership that could elevate her beyond Fairmont Crest? Or something more personal, more dangerous? Whatever it was a curveball that could change everything. She met his gaze, her mind racing with possibilities, and whispered, "Tell me more." Eva and Tomas, a fragile bond in a fractured world, across town, in a modest apartment bathed in the soft glow of a single lamp, Eva sat curled up on her worn couch, her fingers tracing the edge of a frayed photograph of her mother. Eva was a woman forged in solitude, her trust reserved for the one person who had never let her down, her mother, now gone. Life had taught Eva to rely on herself, to guard her heart against the world's betrayals. But lately, a new presence had begun to chip away at her defenses. Tomas. Tomas was an unlikely ally, a quiet man with kind eyes and a past as shadowed as her own. He had entered Eva's life almost by accident. They met at the community center where Eva volunteered, their conversation starting as small talk but growing into something deeper. Tomas listened when Eva spoke of her fears, her dreams, her regrets, and she, in turn, became his confidant, a safe harbor for his own unspoken pain. Their bond was fragile, like a spider's web glistening with morning dew, beautiful, but easily broken. On this night, as the clock ticked past midnight, Tomas sat across from Eva, his hands clasped tightly. "You don't have to do this alone," he said, his voice steady but earnest. "Whatever you're facing, I'm here. Let me help." Eva's breath caught, Help was a foreign concept, a luxury she hadn't allowed herself since her mother's passing. The weight of her struggle as a job that barely paid the bills, a landlord threatening eviction, a heart still raw from lows pressed down on her. Tomas's offer was a lifeline. But could she trust it? Could she trust him? The sincerity in his eyes was disarming. And for the first time in years, Eva felt a flicker of hope. What kind of help? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tomas leaned forward, his words careful but resolute. I've got some savings, not much, but enough to get you through this month. And I know someone who can talk to your landlord, maybe buy you some time. You don't have to say yes now, but just think about it. Eva's eyes welled with tears, not from sadness, but from the unfamiliar warmth of being seen. For so long, she had been invisible, a ghost moving through Fairmont Crest's bustling streets. Tomas's offer wasn't just about money. It was about connection, about someone choosing to stand by her side. As the night deepened, Eva wondered if this was the beginning of something newer, if trusting Tomas would be her greatest mistake. Allison and Chelsea, a descent into obsession. In the quiet suburbs of Fairmont Crest, Allison's quaint little house stood as a facade of normalcy. To the outside world, she was the epitome of sweetness, her kindergarten teacher with a warm smile and a knack for baking cookies for her neighbors. But beneath the surface, Allison was unraveling, her mind consumed by a fixation that no one saw coming. Chelsea, the vibrant yoga instructor who had moved to town a year ago, was the object of Allison's obsession. At first, it seemed innocent enough. Allison attended Chelsea's classes religiously, always lingering afterward to chat. She brought Chelsea homemade muffins, complimented her endlessly, and even started mimicking her style: flowy dresses, silver bangles, a messy bun that was somehow effortlessly chic. But what began as admiration had spiraled into something darker, something all-consuming. On August 29th, Allison's obsession reached its breaking point. She sat in her dimly lit living room, surrounded by photographs of Chelsea she had secretly taken, snaps from yoga class, candid shots at the farmer's market, even a blurry image of Chelsea laughing at a cafe. Allison's hands trembled as she clutched a letter she had written, a confession of her feelings that she had never dared to send. "You're my everything," she whispered to the empty room, her voice cracking. "Why can't you see it?" The tipping point came earlier that day, when Chelsea had casually mentioned she was leaving town for a weekend retreat. The news hit Allison like a physical blow. Chelsea was slipping away, and Allison couldn't bear it. In a moment of reckless desperation, she made a choice that would shock everyone who knew her. She packed a bag, left a cryptic note on her kitchen table, "I'm going to find her," and disappeared into the night. By morning, Fairmont Crest was abuzz with worry. Allison's neighbors, accustomed to her predictable routine, were alarmed by her absence. The note was found, and whispers of her strange behavior began to spread. Had Allison always been this unhinged? Or had something snapped inside her? And where was she now? Was she chasing Chelsea? Or had she vanished into a darkness of her own making? Nicole and Martin, a mother's heartbreak. In the heart of Fairmont Crest, Nicole sat in her cozy kitchen, the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the weight of her grief. She was a pillar of strength, a single mother who had raised her son, Martin, with unwavering love and determination. Martin, now 19, was her pride and joy, a bright young man with dreams of becoming a doctor. But on August 29th, Nicole received news that shattered her world. The phone call came just after lunch, the hospital's number flashing on her screen. The voice on the other end was clinical, detached, but the words cut like a knife. Martin had been in an accident, a car crash on the outskirts of town, caused by a reckless driver running a red light. Martin was in critical condition, fighting for his life in the ICU. Nicole's world stopped. The kitchen, once a haven of warmth, felt cold and suffocating. She sank to the floor, clutching the phone, her mind racing with memories of Martin, his first steps, his gap-toothed grin, the way he'd hug her after a long day. The family was already stretched thin, grappling with financial strain, and the pressures of daily life. This was the last thing they needed, the last thing Nicole could bear. As she rushed to the hospital, her heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. Martin was her everything, and she would fight for him with every ounce of her strength. But the uncertainty gnawed at her. Would he pull through? What would this mean for their future? The hospital's sterile halls offered no answers, only the rhythmic beeping of machines and the weight of a mother's love hanging in the balance. A town on the edge. The events of August 29th at Beyond the Gates were more than isolated moments. They were a collision of lives, each one teetering on the edge of transformation or ruin. Leslie's triumph was tempered by the shadow of Ted's mysterious offer, a deal that could either cement her legacy or unravel it. Ava's tentative trust in Tomas opened a door to hope, but also to vulnerability. Allison's descent into obsession left a trail of questions, her whereabouts a mystery that haunted Fairmont Crest, and Nicole's heartbreak over Martin's accident cast a pall over a family already stretched to its limits. These stories, intertwined by fate and circumstance, painted a vivid portrait of a town in flux. Fairmont Crest was no longer just a backdrop, it was a crucible, forging its residents in the fires of ambition, love, and loss. As the sun rose on August 30th, the town buzzed with speculation, each whispered rumor adding to the legend of that unforgettable night. What would become of Leslie, Eva, Allison, and Nicole? We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to TV Soap News and Spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.